I'm just going to do two things. I'm going to show you how to stop. I've dropped 2 or 3 motorcycles just coming to a stop. It's very common. You see a motorcycle just stopping, and it doesn't look like anything's out of the normal, and they, for some reason or another, bike kind of drops on its side. It's happened to me a few times, you know, and it's going to happen to you if you're a new rider. I can pretty much guarantee it. So I'm going to teach you how to try to avoid that, and I'm going to teach you what to do when there's an obstacle on the road, like that brick, which I just put there. So I'm going to ride over that brick with my scooter. Dun, da, da. I'm a crazy man, I know. No, it's just no big deal. But the point is if you get that or a larger brick. Yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before, I was riding behind some idiot, and he had a half helmet on, and his half helmet wasn't done up. He just put it on because it's illegal to ride without a helmet, but he didn't bother connecting the strap. So it's just sitting on his helmet loose, sitting on his head loose. I'm riding behind him on my scooter, which has small tires, and his helmet flies off and lands directly in front of me on the street. And if that happened to you, would you know what to do? It's a freaking helmet. It's like, it was a construction helmet too. Like, a lot of people do that. Instead of wearing a motorcycle helmet, they just put on a construction helmet, which would offer very little protection, but I don't know, I guess it's lighter or something, so I don't know. Anyway, so a construction helmet, which is like, I don't know, it's about that high, and it's rounded and smooth, so if you hit that with a small scooter tires, you got a good chance of crashing. Anyways, but there are some things you can do to lessen the danger. But I'll go. First thing I'm going to teach you is stopping. You know, if you ride a motorcycle, and this is easier to teach on a scooter too, because this is the rear brake. That's my rear brake, and this is my front brake. So, as you can see, it's more powerful. And, so anyways, with a motorcycle, the rear brake is your right foot, but this way you can actually see how I'm braking. Normally when you brake, you're riding along, you brake, you use both brakes together, and that's, of course, the best way to stop. If you're going straight and you only want to use one brake to stop, it makes more sense to use the front brake because the front brake is much more powerful. But when you're actually coming to the final part of a stop, you should actually use rear brake only because the front tire is more prone to if the front tire slips on something like this gravel on the side of the road, the bike will slide out, like mine just did, because I lock up the front brake on gravel. If I lock up the front brake on dry pavement, nothing happens. I just stop quickly. But on a light scooter, it's easier for me to control my front tire slide. But on a 400-pound motorcycle, 300-pound motorcycle, whatever they are, mine's 175 kilograms, and that's about, I think it's about 400 pounds, 300, 400 pounds. You know, and on Harleys, they weigh like 1,000 pounds. So if you're on a 1,000-pound bike and your front tire is sliding and turning sideways and the bike will drop to its side a bit, if it drops to its side quick enough, the inertia behind that 1,000 pounds will cause the bike to fall, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's why you see some guys, it's happened to me, like I've been in the mountains, and then I see something that I want to stop for, so I pull over to the side of the road, and the side of the road is usually where there's gravel and sand, and I come to a quick stop, and my front tail locks up, it turns, and I'd follow my side. I don't get hurt, but it's embarrassing, and it scratches up the bike. So the way to get around that is, for low-speed braking, anything under 5 miles an hour, under 10 miles an hour, you should use the rear brake only, which would normally be your right foot. Because if you lock up the rear brake on gravel or sand, nothing happens. It just kind of, it's your front brake that controls the stability. For example, I'll show you. There was some gravel back here. So yeah, so the point is, when you're braking, you should use both brakes to start, or the front brake only is fine, and it's better to use both. And then when you get your speed down to the point where you're about to stop, like release the front brake and use the rear only. About go. For example, here is all gravel, and if I go on here and I'm slowing down with both brakes, and then I switch to my rear only, well, I didn't lock it up. Here, I'll lock up my rear. See, my rear is locked up there, as you can see by the skid that I just did. Could I do a skid like that with my front tire? No way I could. Once the front tire locks up, you lose your balance and the bike will tip on its side. Oh yeah, I did a little skid over there too without realizing it. Hey, I'll lock up the front and see what happens. Yeah, right away the bike starts to fall to the right. And how far did I lock it up for? Well, a little bit. But the point is as soon as you lock it up, you lose the balance. The bike starts to fall. You lock up the rear brake, and the first time I locked up the rear brake, I didn't even notice I'd locked it up. Yeah, let's get a good running start and lock up the rear and see what happens. Just for your amusement. Oh, look at that! The brick that I put on the road that I'm going to use later for a demonstration of how to hit road debris. I forgot about it and it almost took me out. Okay. Okay, here we go. Locking up the rear brake. There we go. I locked it up pretty much from there all the way to there. I just pretty much slid in the whole way there. And as you can see, and I had no problem. I could have done it. I could have slid twice as far with the rear brake locked up and my stability would have been fine. So the point is, on gravel roads, use the rear brake only. And don't go fast, because gravel is a killer. And when stopping on the side of the road in the country, in the mountains, it's dusty, there's sand. Rear brake only once your speed goes below 10 miles an hour. Bye-bye, go. Okay, now for the next part.